morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Thursday, August 4th, 2022. Our weekly trip across the border with the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. We'll be talking some CFL. We got one game on tap today. We do have an NFL game today, the Hall of Fame game as well. The Raiders will take on the Jaguars, and that stiff of a coach, I hope he's in that bar watching it with his family and the girlfriend sitting on his lap. I'll just leave that there. I'll just leave that one there. This is a family show, so we'll just stop there. And Andrew, before I get to Andrew, it's funny. I was doing some quick prep here, and on my Don Best page, I get a steam alert. Winnipeg to 4.5. I go over to DraftKings, and Winnipeg's -5. And all of a sudden, presto bango, Winnipeg now -6. What the hell's going on, Andrew? But I know he might have some answers there. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Look, I mean, I don't know why people are who wants to bet against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now. You know, I certainly don't. This is a team that gets it done straight up against the spread, back-to-back champions. Not a team I'm lining up, I guess, to bet against. That's for sure.
You know, again, they're just a slot machine, and every time it smells a little fishy, it's just egg on my eye. Flashbacks, when Brady's rolling, when Mahomes is rolling, and we look at road favorites, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, and they win by 7, 10, 13. And sooner or later, you just got to wave the white flag.
Good teams find a way, and that's just what we're finding out with this team. I take a lot into injuries with the CFL just because, number one, with the fluctuation of the line movement, if I'm checking my certain websites that I do, I'm always hoping I can get a better line than kind of what's going to be the settled line. And you take a look at Winnipeg, when I'm looking at their injury reports, Jeff, or when I'm looking at certain different, websites talking about those guys, compared to most other teams, I can't buy in as much to, okay, this receiver is out, this, linebacker is out, this O-lineman is out, because it seems like with this team, it's the next man up mentality. Whereas if you're talking about some other teams in the league, let's use Calgary as an example. They need all hands on deck to be a strong football team. So, you hear me talk about the word depth all the time, and when we're breaking down NHL games together, but man, this Winnipeg team, I feel like it's really not talked about enough with the CFL media that no matter who's on the field, this team gets it done. And I guess we have to give some credit as well to the coaching staff. I mean, I can't say all this and then not kind of tip my hat to the coaching staff. They keep finding a way to get it done here. But Montreal, once again, I asked around, Jeff. I wish I knew. They've played pretty much all of their games on Thursdays. And then I looked at the schedule coming up. It's most of them on Thursdays again. So here we go. Thursday night football is pretty much Montreal's home this year in the CFL. But literally, they are at home this time. It's a short-ish week, a travel spot for Winnipeg. Doesn't really seem like most people really care.
I prefaced Hall of Fame game. NFL officially kicks off. Obviously, all the talk all week's been about Watson, the shit show going on there. And I was talking to a good friend of mine this morning and trying to explain the situation. He's like, well, the NFL fumbled again. And I says, well, they technically didn't. And here is why. It's the fact of the matter is they bring it to a mediator, a judge. She rules based upon Ben Roethlisberger getting 6 games dropped to 4. And there was a couple other cases. But in comes Goodell, because he's already hearing it from all the women's groups and all the other groups around that, whoa, this is way too soft. So now Goodell comes in and basically says, not so fast. I'm the law. It's God dealt to you, and we're going to get what we want. Now, he said all along He wanted the full year. He wants him to go to counseling, treatment, yada, yada, yada. And then the flip side is, well, then, Watson and his camps are going to come in and sue and whatever. I don't want to make this the big topic of the show, but what's your thoughts on this? Basically, what's come down and what you think is going to happen moving forward?
Well, I just think that it's best for the league to avoid this being a reality show for the fans and for people involved, because that's not what it is. I mean, it's really important that this gets dealt with appropriately. And I think what's important is the decision that was first made stays that decision. But obviously, with what that decision was, not that many games or nearly as many as people expected, you kind of figured there was going to be some backlash and some appealing and some fight back there. Look, when I look at this, I just, like I said, I just want it to be settled, Jeff. I want it to be figured out. But you use the term God Dell, and that's just the thing, right? I mean, he steps in all the time. He makes the decisions. I mean, you're from the Mass area. Remember the whole deal with Tom Brady? With the Deflategate, obviously this is different circumstances and way different accusations that are going on here, but it's a matter of things just don't get figured out right away. And I think it's a bad look that the first ruling isn't going to be the final ruling. Does that make some sense? I mean, I just think that what that first number of suspended games or, a lot of time should have been the final number. I'm not saying that I think personally 6 is appropriate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think that they should, whatever they came up with originally, that should be it. Unfortunately, there's always going to be pushback. There's always going to be this party appealing this party appealing that. But I guess the question I'll throw back to you, what do you think about, him just landing on a team and they're in training camp. They're acting like everything's all good. And it's like, this guy's not even going to play. I mean, for the first several weeks, and then now they're going to say maybe not at all this season. What does the team do? Does the team just say, okay, like stop training with us, or what happens there on that end?
And I was hearing yesterday that they're really pissed off because he is showing zero remorse, and you're spot on, Andrew, with the fact that he's just going on like business as usual, like he did nothing. And then the disgusting part about it is the fans now flocking up to him, getting the autographs, after these practices and stuff. I'll tell you right now, okay, I think he gets slapped if Goodell pulls on this big dog and pony show to give him 10 games and they drop it to 8. No, you got to go in and get what you want. I think the full year is really what this guy deserves. If I'm the Browns, I am on the horn today with San Francisco. I'm getting Jimmy G over. I got 3 weeks to get him ready. Nothing. Hey, listen, you got Brissett as a backup. If Jimmy doesn't pick up the plays quick enough, you can move them in there in the week 2 or 3. But they have talent in a tough division. I'm not going down in flames because I think I got my franchise quarterback, and now I'm gonna not be able to use him for 1 year. I'm not gonna just throw away 2022 and with Brissett going 8-9, 9-8 or whatever. I'm going to get Jimmy in town right now before Seattle gets him, because he's not going to be with the 49ers. So they're holding out trying to get something for him. But the end of the day is if no one makes a move, he's going to get cut. And as soon as he get cut, Pete Carroll and them are just going to they're going to send a private jet to Jimmy, get your ass over here. You're here,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure how much you've been following the Hockey Canada situation, but it's not good at all. It's horrible, really. It looks bad on really our country here in Canada and the Hockey Canada program. But it's a very similar situation with that, Jeff, where there's 8 guys, that are accused, of these, the allegations against them, and the names haven't been out yet. But here's the thing: I'm sure you've seen all over social media. all kinds of players have gone out and kind of I'll probably say like scripted these like notes and then screenshotted it on their phone saying like I was away with the family, I wasn't at that gala, or I'm aware of what took place and it's sickening and I want to put on record I wasn't there, so on and so forth. So you can kind of, the list gets smaller and smaller after so many people make these posts, right? So now there's around, I think, 10, 11 guys left that haven't made those. So you start to think, obviously, you can't immediately think, okay, it's definitely those guys, but it's what we are kind of led to believe. Why am I saying this? It's the same thing you just said. You look at a certain couple teams in the West or a certain couple teams in the East that have those players on them, and they're all young players, obviously, because it was from the World Juniors 4 years ago. Don't you think those GMs are on the phone saying, do we get rid of this guy? Do we try and get something back right as fast as we can? Is this going to be suspended? Because this is what the deal is. A couple years ago, the everything got settled in court, and the lady, her mom, was the one that was pressing her to make these charges. The girl didn't want to press the charges. Her mom told her to do it. They end up going through with it. Anyway, Hockey Canada settled it, right, so to speak. But now this isn't as much of a legal issue as it is a hockey issue. So it's not like these guys, and it's horrible. If this stuff is even 3% true, this is absolutely disgusting and horrible. But from a hockey perspective, you gotta think some of these guys that are 21, 22 are either going to get, cut, traded, because these are young assets, right? So it's kind of like what you said about Deshaun. I mean, do you want to just eventually get nothing for them and just cut? And I'm not trying to downplay it and say like this is obviously way bigger than sports. Like you and I both would agree on that. But as far as the sports go, if Deshaun's going to be suspended the whole year, but it's not been announced yet, they could pull a cheeky move and get rid of him and say, you know what, he's your problem now. Right? He's not our problem. He's your problem now. And I feel like that with hockey, we might be in for something just like that in a few months, Jeff. I'm not sure how much you've been following that.
No, and I agree. And in today's world, every phone has a camera. There's nowhere you can't do anything without getting spotted on a video, a snapshot. And you're talking about 3-4 years ago. But the problem in today with social media is the PR hit as well. And sometimes you just got to cut losses. Hey, it was a mistake. It's a bad move. It's a bad look. Hey, we didn't know. Now we know. Thanks. Wash your hands clean and move on. That's the hardest part in life, Andrew, is admitting a mistake, admitting I was wrong. I was wrong. And that's the problem with the ego and these billion-dollar owners, the GMs of the world. They want all the credit in the world when they make the right moves and stuff. But when they make the wrong moves, you hear crickets because their ego gets in the way and say, I made a mistake.
Right. And it's tough. It's real tough for them because at this point, they're just doing their job, right? Like if you look at it, like for example, I saw a post yesterday, and I just gotta say real quick, like I saw a post talking about Deshaun at practice, and kind of what you said earlier about how everybody's saying he's not feeling remorse, he's just out there playing football. What do you want him to do? Go out there and have his head down and look sad while he's at training camp? I mean, he's out there doing his job. The coaches are coaching him. Until something happens, he's not going to do those things. So that's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just, it's really, the reality is whatever is going on right now at training camp is going to continue to go on until another ruling is made. He can't play right now for 6 games. What does that go to? You think 1 year? Yeah. So I mean, the next day, if he shows up to training camp after that's announced, is he even taking reps? I don't think so.
and I think,
and they wasted all their time too, right? If that happens.
I think the telling tale, and I've been saying this all along, is his go-to guy, his guy that stood behind him, Mr. Dabo Sweeney, has been nowhere to be found for a long, long time. And I think one of his closing remarks was, well, that's not the Deshaun Watson that I knew. So, they were talking about it this morning on one of the early morning shows, when they were talking about the other cases, there was one or two women involved. There was this case where, there was one woman involved, rape, horrific, bad stuff. There were 24 women involved. And now I know in some of these cases it's piling on and they're just crawling out of the woodwork. It's a money grab. But when you settle out of court, I guess, with 24 women, this guy's got a few screw looses.
Well, when there's a rule saying you have to only get massages from your own team in your contract, that says something.
They basically broke it down to this: for each woman, he got a quarter suspended. So then that's how you get the 24 women, and that's how you get the 6 games. And the way they broke it down was pretty disgusting when you think about it. And you look like, Brady gets 4 games, quote unquote, deflating balls, and the list is endless. I mean, Ray Rice never played another game in his life. With the video, Kaepernick never played another game. You can get blackballed real quick here in the NFL. I would just take, if I'm Deshaun and they give me a year, I just fade off into the sunset. If Cleveland wants me back next year, I'll be there, for OTAs, whatever you need. I'll work out all in the season, and I just move on.
Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, the fact is that somebody, several people got suspended for over a year for smoking weed, right? And this is a 6-game suspension for all of this stuff. That's all I really have to say about it. That's ridiculous.
And a year for a $1,500 3-team parlay. How's that?
Yeah.
Woke up this morning.
I saw something, Jeff, that said, just to keep it light for the transition here, Calvin Ridley has been once again suspended for betting on Deshaun Watson's ruling.
I woke up this morning to some steam on the Raiders. Now -2.5, under over 30.5. This screams 17-13 all day to me. Before we get into the CFL, any thoughts on the Hall of Fame game?
Well, I kind of want to be Mr. Contrarian here, and I think it's like 2 of the last 4 years the total has gone over. It seems pretty split actually over the last 10 years. Like, it's not, everyone thinks these games all go under, especially the Hall of Fame game, but preseason games in general. But these, the numbers are the way they are for a reason. They're this low because of that. And it's gotten bet down. So I've been just hanging around, taking a back seat and waiting to see how low can it go. And then I might just chime in with, a 1 unit, half a unit on the over here, because I still feel like, even though we can sit here and say, who's throwing the ball? What are the, but the fact of the matter is these coaches, both being new, still want to show something. Maybe they don't want to show everything, but they're not going to have their regular guys in there for the full game anyway. So they're going to show their stuff, and the 3rd and 4th stringers are going to get a chance to showcase themselves. And I think that people forget about defensive touchdowns or fumbles. I mean, one fumble from a team on their own 30, that's an automatic 3 or 7. And that changes the whole game of the total, So that's kind of where I'm looking here. Out the gate, I actually was leaning towards the Jags, but I've decided not really to make much of a side play, just because I'm really trying to figure out which coach cares more and how long they're going to be in for and this kind of stuff. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Jeff? I mean, since Monday, I started, I've been tracking this for a little while, but especially since Monday when everyone's been talking about it, getting bet down, 3.5 points. I know you're a market watcher. I'm tempted to go the other way here.
I just when I looked at it last night, took the snapshot, and I was actually up at 4:30 this morning. I couldn't sleep, and I took a look at the numbers, and then at 6, I saw it to 2.5. It's almost like someone got the in on. All right, Josh is going to play these guys for the first half. Again, you made a great point. You got Josh McDaniel, you got Doug Peterson. I'm not buying the sizzle on Josh. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I'm not buying the Devontae Adams move. I think they're in for a long season. That's just my take on August 4th. I could be 100% wrong. I think the Jaguars, the fact that they got the cancer out of the room, and I think these guys feel relieved, and I think they're really going to take that next step forward to say it was the coach the whole time, guys. And I think Lawrence with another year, a healthy ETN, they bring over Christian Kirk, they add Evan Ingram. Robinson is ahead of schedule. It's just a matter of that defense, and I kind of think that the Jags will be sneaky this year.
They made some good moves, and they have a competent coach, and a coach that not just will make reasonable decisions, but like you said, is going to be better in the room, and that's important for a team that struggles. They're going to have down weeks. They're going to have weeks where they get blown out. But ATS wise, looking at week 3, week 4, looking at this schedule that they're looking at this year, this is probably going to be a bet on team for me. Everybody loves to bet on the Chiefs and the Bills and the Bucks. Give me some underdogs, some plus type of wagers, and that's what I'll really be looking at with them. I think there'll be a team I can make some money on. A lot of the stuff that you just said, and not just because of those guys that got over, but really just like the positive momentum in this locker room and kind of just saying, hey, this is what we're going to be able to do. If you notice, it's kind of funny, actually. And I gotta tip my hat to Morency, because I was talking about this with him as well. He said, if you notice, a lot of the good teams actually do well in the preseason as well. People think it's always going to be the opposite. The bad teams are going to perform and the good teams are going to just rest all their players. The fact of the matter is, good teams are coached well and good teams have depth. Bad teams usually don't have great coaching and aren't that deep. So in preseason, even if they are only playing their starters for so long, sometimes they still lose. The reason why I'm saying this is because I think Jacksonville will take this game serious, and we will see a lot more guys out there for longer, and they will try and, put up points on the board and not just, test things out and stuff like that. If you're the Jacksonville Jags, from day one, you want to prove not just to your fans, but to your own team and to each other that, we're going to be, different this year. Things are going to be different. And I'm telling you, in a locker room like that, compared to a locker room, let's say in Buffalo, that means a hell of a lot more. When a guy makes a big catch and he comes back to the sidelines after they convert the field goal or the touchdown, everyone is going over and high-fiving them, giving them respect. If that happens for, a top-tier team in the league, let's say the Rams in preseason, maybe a few fist bumps here and there, high fives, but no one really cares. You won the Super Bowl last year. You think anybody cares you made a 30-yard catch in preseason? I think people are going to care if you're on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, and I'll close the NFL with this. There's certain teams and coaches, it's more the coaches that really try to win in preseason. We all know the Ravens winning streak of a bazillion in a row.
Yeah.
They really try to win these games. I know locally here, Bill could give a rat's ass about any of these preseason games. The one game every year he maybe usually tries to win is against the Giants. That's usually week 3 when they play the most there. But for the most part, it's don't get injured and let's just move on. They get more from the like when teams fly in on Monday and practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the game. They get more out of that than the actual game itself on Thursday.
The build up, the lead up, the actual game day, rituals and stuff like that. I agree with you. I'm looking forward to this one just because I love, just like you. And I got to say, you've been an influence on me as far as watching the odds. I always have, but just the way things change, I'm real tempted to be this contrarian guy tonight and just say, you know what? Everyone can't stop talking about this under. And now it's at a point where if you're an under better, I'm sure you'd agree with me, it's a little bit too late. right? I mean, if you got in now, you're getting a horrible number. I still think both these teams can put up points, and I'm telling you, a lot of it has to do with me seeing these two new coaches. Some people say, Jeff, that two new coaches don't want to show their bag of tricks. I think two new coaches want to show their team that they, whether it's one side of the ball or the other, they can play, they can coach. And you can prove that in training camp and in practice, but in a real game, you want to show your team that, you're ready to go. I think that matters.
And again, Josh was a flop when he left the nest and went to Denver. And basically, Peterson, Super Bowl, Philly special, the whole 9 yards. And they're both offensive coaches. Not that I promote in-game, but if you have the over, and let's just say both teams come down and score a touchdown to start the game, 7-7, you're going to have an amazing middle where then the 30 and the hook goes to 41 or something, and you're sitting in the catbird seat.
That's the plan. Let's do it.
All right, CFL. We started the show where I said there's a lot of steam. We do know that DraftKings is listening. We watched it again last week as Andrew is moving numbers as we speak. 7:30 today, Winnipeg at Montreal. A line that I saw it as low as 4 is now up to 6. And under over a 47 and a hook. The money line now on the Blue Bombers minus 245. If you're feeling froggy for the Montreal Alouettes, you can get them plus 205 on the money line today.
Well, I'm trying to pull this. I gotta bring this up again. I don't want to talk about it too much, Jeff, but I know you get a kick out of this stuff. The owner of the Alouettes just continues to make me laugh because the team just continues to struggle, and I don't know if they're just. I don't know if they're selling some good legal weed up in Montreal, but he just continues to come out with these quotes. He's tagging all the panelists and the CFL TSN panel on his tweets. And he said, game against Winnipeg coming up fast. No one gives us a chance. We are at home. We have the talent. The coaches have installed great systems. We will win this game. And he tags all the CFL experts and panelists, saying there's no question that this is the day for them. I'm sorry, but this isn't really the day if you're taking on the Grey Cup champions in back-to-back years. And this is the thing about Winnipeg. They don't make mistakes. They capitalize on your mistakes. And Montreal, there's pretty much a flag parade every time they're on the field. Their defense consistently takes penalties, and Winnipeg will capitalize on that. It's really not Montreal's offense that's been the issue. It's been their defense. And I said to myself last week after I lost one or two unders with Montreal this year, I think I'm split. I've taken some overs, taken some unders. Said to myself last week, I'm never once again going to take an under in an Alouettes game. What happens? That week goes under. But this week, we're going back and going up and over the total with this game here. I think that Winnipeg can kind of, flex their muscles and keep teams to low scoring. But I really don't think that is the issue for the Montreal Alouettes, But their defense isn't going to be able to handle a team like Winnipeg, fresh off putting up a 35 spot against Calgary. Zach Collaros, not a big deal. 4 touchdowns, 270 yards, 73% passing. And, the running game, 110 yards for Brady Oliveira. We saw several guys getting involved. Wolotarski, 46 yards in the air. Rashid Bailey, 55 yards. Nick Dembski, 69. Dalton Schoen, 80 yards. I talk about depth with this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. There's lots of it. There's lots of it to go around. It's not just one or two guys. Oh, yeah. And they might also be getting Greg Ellingson back. So there's just so many options for this team. But again, I talk about Montreal and I look at them. I mean, even a guy like Geno Lewis, who's like a fan favorite receiver, he's someone that consistently is available. He consistently, gets it done offensively for them. And their running game has improved since they've had to deal with the injury of William Stanback. So I think this team can put up points in Montreal. I worry about their defense. And Winnipeg, again, hats off to them. They have been able to hold some teams. and, flex their muscles, get to 20, 23 points, and then just say, hey, we're going to just milk the clock up by running it. But I think in this game, we will see them trade. It is a home game. It is Winnipeg going, from a travel spot there from Manitoba to Quebec. And realistically, when I look at this spot, what have I said every week? I mean, could be a letdown spot for Winnipeg, could be a bad travel spot, could be a bad this, could be a bad that. They always find a way to get it done. I'm just hoping they get it done on the board with points, and so does Montreal. So I'm going to sit back. Over 47, I believe, is what I locked in, Jeff. Current number, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot what you said, the one you were looking at.
47 and a hook
47
right
and
now. I mean, Vegas is basically giving you the old 27-20 right now if you got it at 47. It's 47 and a hook. That's what they're saying right now.
And you know what's funny is between giving them up or getting it done themselves, the special teams for Montreal has been scoring touchdowns, like punt returns, kickoff returns, or the other way around, So I think this should be a fun football game to watch, Jeff, and I'll take the over here. But I can't lean towards Montreal. And if I was playing Montreal, it would be the first half. But, last week, like I'll tell you what, I'm not trying to get on a rant here. I'm mad at myself. I haven't made much money on Winnipeg this year. Last week, I sort of leaned towards Winnipeg, but it was a good spot for Calgary. The numbers were flip-flopping around. There was injury reports coming up. So I didn't take anything on that game. Winnipeg wins, comeback fashion a little bit. And there's just been so many games like that where I'm like, yeah, Winnipeg should get the job done, but the point spread is a little bit bigger than I'd like. And they're 5-point favorites and they win by 7 or 10, So I'm frustrated with this Winnipeg team because they continue to get it done.
And for me, being a market guy, not worrying about the logo in the front, the names on the back, put yourself in my shoes for 2 decades when the public and the, Pats Nation is just laughing to the bank every time because I can't take the Patriots. There is just no way in hell I'm taking the Patriots. Short favorites on the road, 6.5 at home. Even when they're 8.5, they're up, they're up 20-0 at halftime. And I had to deal with that for 2 decades.
That's tough. Because with the point spreads they were giving out too, a lot of times the back door was always open.
Wide tomorrow, 7:30, Calgary at Ottawa. The Stampede -5.5. I was going to say the second largest total, 50 and a hook. Calgary -225 on the money line. Ottawa +190.
Well, so last week I pretty much said that I think that Ottawa was one of the best 0-6 teams in the CFL has seen in, a long time, I think. And the best of the worst, I'll put it this way, that I've seen in a long time. This Ottawa Red Blacks team is not the same team they were last year, where every single week it was fade because they were giving up points. They couldn't establish much. They were losing the battle of the trenches every single week. But we have seen a lot of chemistry start to develop with this team. And when I take a look at, their performance last week against Toronto, I'm impressed, and Toronto is a team that they're just not meeting expectations. They've had a really weird past couple weeks, but Caleb Evans passes 83% last week, 24-29, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 286 yards against a Toronto defense. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be pretty good, supposed to have a great pass rush. And sure, it was a flat spot for them, but Ottawa's finding a way. And I think that this is the time I've been waiting for, Jeff. And I told you I interviewed a guy from a CFL blog who I highly respect. He told me at the start of the year, this right now, the form I believe we're seeing from Ottawa is what they're going to start the year like. And I feel like they're just getting into that form, which benefits us as sports bettors because we're going to get these +5s and 6s for, I think, the next couple weeks here. versus if they started the year off by playing like this, and obviously new quarterback and such, but we wouldn't be getting this number today, I don't think, with them. So I like getting points in this spot with Ottawa. I think they're going to get the job done. I think this one is going to be sweaty. It's not going to be, obviously by any means an easy outright victory. I think this game is decided by a field goal. I don't think that Calgary on the road here after a big game deserves to be the favorites that they are like this. And they've got lots of talent. Don't get me wrong. They put points on the board. And it's funny because sometimes you come off a game against an elite opponent like Calgary are after losing once again to Winnipeg, allowing 35 points. You're either number one, angry, pissed off, and you want to go use that anger on somebody else, or number two, you're frustrated. And I think they're going to be frustrated because when it comes down to it, obviously Ottawa is no Winnipeg, but they proved they give up points in the red zone. They're a team that you can score on. And we saw it when Calgary played against Hamilton, when Calgary played against, who was it? I think Saskatchewan, I believe. They're allowing points against everybody, but they're scoring themselves. I think that Ottawa's defense with Coach Paul LaPolice has actually been pretty good. And as much as I love to make fun of Toronto right now, they only scored 13 points last week, and they've got guys like Andrew Harris and Brandon Banks that are still pretty talented on the ground and through the air. So I think plus 5.5 is a good number here at the Red Blacks, Jeff.
Don't forget to sprinkle a little on the plus 190, sir. You'll be banging your head on Friday night.
Yes.
And Vegas basically has this one at that 27-24, 27-23. So you're spot on again. If it probably most likely will come to a field goal. I like where you're at.
Do you think people will be jumping on Calgary because of they've only really had they've had a lot of spots where they've given up points, but do you think part of the reason why people will like Calgary is they're coming off that loss against Winnipeg?
That's 100%. I would, if I was back in Calgary, I would look for them in the first half. Mm-hmm. I would think you'll know early if they're going to come back on a bounce back spot and be ready, or is this last week's going to now carry over to this week's?
Right. And the problem is they've struggled to put together a full game effort. There's not a lot of teams in the league right now that are able to do that. And the funny thing is about Ottawa, I've come on your show. We've broken these games down pretty much every single week of the season so far. And what have I said? Ottawa struggles in the red zone. And right now, whether it's field goals or actually just, putting up 6 or 7, I feel like they're starting to get it done more. But what I have been impressed with is actually their defense. And if Calgary's getting involved in shootouts with everybody, meaning they're also allowing lots of points, then maybe the Ottawa gets a couple touchdowns on them, and then their defense is too much for Calgary. So I'm rocking with the dog here.
I like it. I like where your eyes are. Saturday, 7 p.m., Hamilton at Toronto. Toronto -2, under over 45 and a hook. Toronto just -130 on the money line. Hamilton +110. Obviously, we were just talking about Toronto. For me, the market watch and my eyes, they're opening up lines right now for you to come and bet Toronto very, very easily. So kind of curious to what you're thinking here.
Look, this isn't my strongest play of the week by any means, but I like Hamilton, and I'm not even taking the point spread here. I'm taking the money line. This is two teams that are evidently going in different directions right now. And as much as, you don't want to gamble on what you think might happen, you want to gamble on what that these teams have done recently. What have you done for me lately? And Hamilton, I think, is turning the corner, so to speak, whereas I think Toronto are banging their heads against that corner wall. They're frustrated. They're taking bad penalties. Their coach is making bad decisions. Their defense is giving up points now and starting to be in shambles. They have some injuries on the defensive front. I feel like it's tough for them. And Hamilton, if they can protect Dane Evans, he can be dangerous, and I think they do have lots of weapons there. They're coming off a good performance against Montreal at home. And I feel like they had a good performance. And now look, I understand. I said Montreal gives up points, no doubt about it. But if Toronto can't trade with them, I feel like we're going to start to see, because let's be honest here, Hamilton has not met expectations for this season. What are they? 2-5 on the year, 2-5 against the spread, and on the road 1-2, at home 1-3 ATS here. And as a dog, they're 1-2 against the spread. They have not been what they should be this year. And I've gone on this show and said, let's not try and make them out to be the same team they were last year. But I'll tell you what, they've got a lot more talent than what they've proven here. So getting points, getting plus money with a team that I think is probably a better team right now and in better form, take the dog here, but on the money line.
I like exactly where your eyes are here. Shout out to Cole joining us this morning. Trying to cash some CFL tickets today. So I like where Andrew's eyes are as we go to the last game on Saturday at 10 o'clock. And my team is just struggling. That's all I can say. It's just struggling. I look at this board. Not only is it the biggest spread, it's the highest total as well. The BC Lions minus 10 and a hook, juiced at minus 105. You can grab the Elks plus 10 and a hook, minus 115, and under over of 51 and a hook. BC Lions minus 500 on the money line. The Elks plus 400. This is even a little too steep for our friend Miss Kelly Stewart. The hint of this landing on 10 is kind of comical. The 30-20 score is what I'm looking at here, 31-21. I love the Elks. I love them on the road. I love them as a dog. I hate to say it, and I think you'll follow up on this one. I think they're outclassed here, my friend.
a little bit outclassed, allowing 59 points in week 1 to this very BC team. Not very pretty, and it's been a short struggle for them with their injuries on the quarterback position. And, Chris Jones, everyone thinks he's this CFL coaching god. Well, we haven't really seen much from him on either side, but I'll say this, I think that if you put your blinders on and pick your spots here a little bit, like I said, Winnipeg, they shut down everybody. So we'll take away that game, all right? Against the Alouettes, a team that's so-so on defense, like I've said, they gave up 32 points and Edmonton beat them outright. The Tiger Cats, they allowed Edmonton to come down after being up a touchdown or more. I think Tiger Cats were up like 7 points or 10 points. Elks win that one outright, put up 29 points. The game before that, they put up 23 points against the Calgary Stampeders. So the BC Lions defense is maybe not one that's like they're strong, and I'll make a case for them. Like last week's game against the Riders, I trusted them to make some big plays, especially against a banged up quarterback with Cody Fajardo. But with a team that scores as fast as BC does, or sometimes you see 2 and outs because they're always going for the long ball. Their defense can be on the field for a little while. And I feel like they're not as solid as teams give them credit for. I think Edmonton can score on them. I really do. And I look at this team, and they do have some receiving options. They do have a quarterback now that is willing to leave the pocket, pretty much has nothing to lose. Let's put it clearly. He's, trying out and trying to earn his spot, I guess, but pretty much has not much to lose here. I think there's no other way to look, Jeff, besides expecting points in this one once again here. I mean, BC leading the league in points for, right? I mean, averaging close to 34 points per game. We've got a team like the Elks averaging 34 against per game pretty much. But like I said, I have seen some bright spots from Edmonton battling quite a bit of adversity. And, oh, yeah, they're off a bye. They've had some time to get ready for this one. So I don't know if that bye week helps their defense here against the dangerous Nathan Rourke-led football team, but maybe it helps their offense, right? So maybe it helps them if they lost that one, by allowing 59 points, and I think they scored 13 themselves. That's off the top of my head, but maybe try and get to 20 this time around. Maybe try and get past 20, because that's what I feel like. I feel like their offense has gotten better as a structure. The bye week will help them, but I don't think their defense is going to be able to give much trouble to this BC Lions offense. And I think BC, it's kind of funny how this game comes up on their schedule, because they're kind of due for a big game again. They're kind of due for an outburst. They've played some tough matches recently, playing Winnipeg, playing Calgary, and then last week against Saskatchewan, that was a battle in its own. And now playing the bottom feeder of the division, I think we're going to see them throw the ball around and find the end zone a few times. If your book offers touchdown props, have fun with this one.
So we're taking the over 51 and a hook.
Yes.
All right. So
are you not buying it? Are you on the other side with me?
No, I'm buying it. I've lost some steam in the Elks, unfortunately. They just, I like the thought process of bye week. And usually the first game doesn't match the second game. But with all that said, I mean, if I was to dive into the Elks, I would only do it in the first half, hoping that, they put something together to slow this BC Lions offense down in the first half. And then, BC just land-based them in the second half. But I'd rather just take the over and have some fun with it.
Well, this is a team that will win a game outright as 7-point dogs on the road, 29-25. And the next week they'll lose at home 49-6.
They suck at home. They suck at home.
Yeah, they're better on the road, and we get more points with them on the road.
So I will be Saturday night up late watching, and I will be texting you and DMing you and doing the Twitter shuffle very, very well. So
let's do it.
The crawler has been working the whole time, obviously. We're getting closer to the World Juniors. We're getting closer to the NFL, the college football as well. Anyone who is not, shame on you, go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk, at Sports Mayflower. Go over to YouTube. Please subscribe. It's free to Mayflower Sports. Always the ECSI 15 promo code gets you $15 off the CFL Best Package. Take it away, Andrew.
Yeah, look, Jeff, I just want to say I don't want to tout myself as far as the specific plays too often, just one best bet, but I just gave several plays I like for this week in the CFL. I do have one of these plays listed as a best bet. So far, I'm 2-1 with my 5-star releases so far this year, and looking to make it 3-1 this weekend with this one. My favorite play on the board stuck out right away. People did just hear it on this show, but you might not know exactly which one it is. So join me at Wager Talk, get my best bet, or you can grab a 3-day pass at wagertalk.com and get every single play I release. So it's only, I think, $5 more to spend, or you can get a day pass even to get all my plays that certain day. But I got a best bet up, and these top releases don't go out every single week by any means, and I'm 2-1 so far on the year with them. So we'll try and keep it going with that. Other than that, look, World Juniors, I'll be back here next week giving out some future picks. We're going to have some prop stuff going on. I look forward to it. And Jeff, we'll have to, maybe do a half and half show with a World Juniors or CFL, or we might have to hop on here and maybe do some quick picks, firing them off together, because it's going to be exciting. Maybe we'll break down the schedule even. We'll have some fun with it.
I can't wait. And we've been waiting now months. We were all hot, bothered, and lathered up in February. The plug gets pulled. And now, so it's kind of actually a bonus the way I look at it now, because we are gifted and fortunate to now have them in August as our dessert as we get ready.
Yes. And I miss hockey. I miss it.
Yeah, I miss the good news of hockey. How's that sound?
Yes, 100%.
So everyone watching in and listening, please, again, go out, and if you're not following Andrew, please do that. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Mayflower Sports. While you're over there, you can subscribe to East Coast Sports Investors on YouTube as well. And if you're feeling froggy, jump on over to Twitch, East Coast Sports Investors, and follow us there. Myself and Andrew will be back next week talking pucks, props, and CFL. So we can't wait. So anyone today wagering early and often, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. Ask for help. There's an 800 number. What you doing? Why? Myself and Andrew care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks. We wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun. The weekend is almost here. It's Thursday. All the locals, make sure it's water. It's like 95 and 100 with a 95% humidity. It's brutal out there. So stay hydrated, please, and we will see you soon.